Sometimes people go into business because they love what they do. They just don't have a clue about running a business. Sometimes it's the opposite. People come from corporate America with a lot of business knowledge, but not knowing how to do things with their own hands or the knowledge they need to produce something nice. Today's show, we are going to discover how you can complement the part that you are lacking of after this.
Welcome to No Strings Attached, the place where we untangle honest conversations about business, reinvention, and the pursuit of the American dream. Hosted by Roger Megales, Brazilian-born, Boston-bred, Florida-based. He is an entrepreneur, speaker, and storyteller with 20 years of real stories, laughs, and screw-ups. This show is for anyone still searching for their place under the sun. So pull up a chair. The show is about to start. Here's Roger with No Strings Attached.
Welcome to another show of No Strings Attached. My name is Roger Megales, and I am your host. If this is your first time here, welcome to the show. And if you have been here before, welcome back. Today, I am interviewing Jessica Harling. She is the owner of Behind the Design in Chicago. She is also a partner at Exciting Windows. She just announced that. And she also just became member at the board of WCAA as director at large. She brings a lot of knowledge in the industry. Her family being business for 4 generations. However, the way she does is different. She specializes in helping other dealers figuring out what's wrong with their operations. And she also brings talented people to help you grow your company. If he is small or large, she can help you in different capacities. She has a background in teaching, also in performing. And because she is used to deal with people and emotions, she can sense well what's going on. Without further ado, enjoy Jessica. Thanks again. And I'd like to start, Jessica, with a 30-second elevator pitch. So if you meet someone as you waiting for the elevator, so what would you tell them you do about your profession?
Yeah, we fix people and process problems, and we do that in 3 different ways: through recruiting top talent, training them to be successful in their role, and developing processes so they stay with you long term and can turn productivity into profit.
Okay, but if I don't know what you do, you fix people's problem in any industry, or are you a psychologist?
Sometimes it feels that way.
Right?
In the window covering and the interior design trades. So we've worked with flooring companies, furniture companies, window covering companies, interior designers, anyone that really has a service that they install in a design capacity. We've even worked commercial and residentially, but we love the world of design. So we're helping them with really the whole process of their business. It could be sales, it could be financial, it could be software, it could be marketing, could be process operations. There's a whole lot.
So I have a business and I'm struggling with process and people. So you help me out figuring that out, or kind of find the key people to help me grow my business. Is that what it is?
Yeah, there's essentially two areas. We either are going to do it for you or we're going to teach you how to do it. So, from a recruiting perspective, that might be finding you an installer, that might be finding you a project manager or salesperson, but it also could be restructuring your company. Maybe you are a $5 million company and you've been hitting a certain tier that you can't get past. And sometimes that requires a company restructure. So, outlining job descriptions and what their performance should look like within each of their roles and teaching you how to navigate those conversations with the team. So, that's on the people side, but on the process side, if it's either teaching you or doing it for you, it might be connecting you to the right partners in your business. If you need a
Mm-hmm.
website redesign, we've got plenty of resources to get you connected, or we might be setting up your software, writing your procedures, doing the work to help you implement your goals.
So if I hire you to do that for me, is that temporary or you're just going to become part of my long-term process? What is it?
Yeah. Well, it certainly feels like we become part of your team.
Okay.
But we work in 6 month increments. So over
Okay.
the course of 6 months, we'll work on 2 to 3 projects. And those 3 projects could be like hiring a person, writing your procedure manuals, and optimizing your software. And so in each of those 6 months, we work on those implementations that will help you towards your goals. But at the end of 6 months, you can say, yeah, this is great. This is helping. We're growing. Let's keep doing this. Or I need to pause because, wow, we need to take a break and just do the things that you just told us to do.
Sure. And from talking to many people, a lot of people don't really understand the business side of business. They are really
Mhm.
good at doing things, or, their father did it or their husband started. They kind of joined, but they don't really have a business background to truly
Mhm.
understand all the little silos inside the company, how they all work together, right? So you're
Exactly.
coming in, you really point things out to them that I probably they never thought about it before, right?
Exactly. That's what our first 30 days looks like. It's an analysis of their company. We actually go through every aspect and analyze what's doing well, what's doing poorly, what needs immediate change so that they can get to their goals. So it's, an outside look in at what you may be too close to see yourself.
Mm-hmm. And it is very interesting because I never heard or anything doing exactly what you're doing for industry in particular. I know business people, business consultants that help, but they're not really industry specific. Yours
Mhm.
is more industry specific for our trade or for the for the design industry, correct?
Correct. Yeah. My great grandfather started a design business in 1936. It's still around today. So I'm fourth generation in the family business
Mm-hmm.
that has done paper, paint, wallpaper, window coverings, interior design, furnishings over the course of 85 plus years. And so
Wow.
a lot of my experience and background comes from that family business, but also since consulting since 2012, I've worked with hundreds of companies across the country doing this business specifically for the design trades. And I
Mm-hmm.
saw time after time going to conferences and talking to people and stuff. There was always this really big focus on sales and marketing, because of course we want to grow our companies. So that's the flashy stuff. Like, let's get sales, let's get leads and all this stuff. But what really came down to the problems were, how do I find people and keep them? And how do I keep them learning and growing? And how, if I do have a lot of sales, how do I keep up with that? What are
Mm-hmm.
my processes? What are my softwares?
Right.
So those were all the questions that I was always able to answer. And it just kind of was born out of the challenge.
Mm-hmm. All right, you beat me to it because I was going to say, how did you get into the business? But you already told you, you're fourth generation and your grandpa started, so you kind of saw these early on, right? So, did you ever work in a different industry? Do you have a different background, like from going to college to do something completely different, and then you came back? What is it?
Yeah, I had two other lives, Roger. I
What?
before I got in this industry, I was a teacher, K through 8.
Uh-huh.
I was in the arts, so I was teaching art, music, theater for grade schoolers. And the program that I taught in was when schools had cut funding for their arts. I came in, my company came in and would bridge between their core classes like math and reading and the arts to provide some value where they had lost funding and couldn't afford to provide the arts to their students. So I've always been in a teaching mode since school. And even in school, I was a theater kid. So from out of college, I opened my own theater and we did a lot of shows every year up until the pandemic. So I've had
Wow, that's really
lots of
cool.
lives.
Yeah. So, given that you had a different life, as you said, what is there anything that your other life helped you in doing what you're doing now? Is there anything that you learned from acting, from teaching people to act that help you in doing what you're doing now?
Yeah, I love that question. I think it boils down to two things. From an acting perspective, they teach you the art of observation and learning people and their nuances. And literally, our homework in school was to go and sit in a park or sit at a zoo and just watch people, watch their interactions with their kids, or if they're busy on their way to work, what's their body language doing and how are they acting. And so I've always been very attuned to that observation, which allows me now to see things sometimes that are in front of everyone's faces, but it's too much to see, that whole like forest through the trees thing. I can
Sure.
take a step back. But because of my teaching background, at our business now, one of our core values is educate. And I do believe in educating others and giving back to the community in that way because my grandpa did that. He was a board member of the WCAA and he had a lot of people he helped and coached through this industry. So, kind of taking that forward and my passion for teaching allows me to teach others, why did my family's business be so successful over the last 4 generations? How can I forward that and pave the path for others?
That's really great because as you teach someone, and I'm speaking from my own experience, you you're telling the installer you got to do this way, and you explain why, and they're just nodding, they understand. But the reality, they just don't want to say, I still need a little more guidance because
Mhm.
I don't truly know what you're saying, or I don't truly feel confident about these. So being a teacher, you kind of sense that when you talk to these people, right, about their business, you got to go this way. They say, oh, yeah, yeah. But in reality, I don't think they're truly agreeing with you, or maybe they are being afraid, right?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I'm a big believer in questions are a good thing. We somehow learn growing up that asking a question can sometimes be stupid, or we asked it too many times, or we're annoying. But I think the complete opposite of that. I feel that questions show someone that you're engaged, that you're curious, that you're learning. And if you're not asking questions and you're a know it all, well, then what am I here for? So, it is about someone being able to grow and learn. And if you're not asking questions, you'll never grow.
Yeah, I get it all the time. I was always the annoying kid in the classroom because I always ask questions. I'm uh, too curious, you know?
Yeah.
And people, oh, I have a stupid question. So then, not really. It's not stupid because it could be the same question other people have,
Yeah.
but they're just too shy to ask, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
And speaking about questions, and you talk to different people, you talk to new people to the industry when you are training them and everything. What is one misconcept or
Yeah.
misunderstanding that people have about our industry?
Oh my gosh, Roger.
Just one.
Every single class I've ever taught, every single one is like 100% close rate on this. Every single class, someone says to me, I got in this industry because I think it's easy. And I'm like, oh, okay, talk to me in 90 days. Let me know how easy you think the quoting is, the installation is, the sales of it is. Like, yeah, if you got in this for ease, this is the wrong industry for you.
Yeah, I joke with Julie Murphy all the time. If people just knew 10% of the details that is involved in this business,
Yeah.
it would have changed a different career. Not
Yes.
exactly the window treatment industry at all. You know what I mean?
Right.
Unbelievable. Yeah, the amount of
Somehow overly
details.
complex
Yeah,
for I don't even know what reason.
if you just account, let's just stick to hard treatments, right? Not even gonna go into
Right.
draperies.
Yeah.
10 different products. I mean, blind shades, blinds, roller shades, silhouettes, whatever, times 10 different control systems, times different fabrics, times inside, outside.
Unbelievable.
Seriously, you can have 50 different options per window.
Yeah. And then layer in the emotion of the customers, their
Absolutely.
opinions, their questions, their
Yeah,
mistranslations.
HD TV shows me this way. Why do I need to go the other route?
Exactly.
It's unbelievable. Yes. So, having said that, it's not as simple as it looks. If you have to start over again, would you pick this industry? Or would you go someplace else and say, you know what? I had my time. My grandpa did well. I did well, but I need a new start. Or would you stay? Hey there, Roger here. Just a quick note. This episode is brought to you by BlindsOnline.com. If you've been thinking about new window treatments, I want you to check them out. I am a partner there, and I can tell you firsthand, the quality, the selection, and the service are the real deal. Listen, over 5,000 five-star reviews don't lie. Whether you are a homeowner or a trade professional, BlindsOnline.com has you covered. Easy process and affordable prices. And because you are supporting the show here, I want to support you as well. Use coupon code PODCAST at the checkout and you get 10% off of your order. There's a link in the show notes. And by the way, if you're getting value from the show, do me a big favor and share these with someone who needs to hear. Word of mouth is everything to me, and you know it. And I really appreciate your support. Now, back to the show.
I would definitely choose this industry again for a couple of reasons. One, growing up, I had always this feeling that this was going to be a future of mine. I always thought I was going to be on the red carpet and all the things, and that this would be what I fall back on when, celebrity has fizzled out.
Sure.
It might have to be the opposite now, but I definitely love the people. I love the fact that I can use my skills of theater to speak and train and get to know people and how they tick and how they are motivated and how I can actually help them. I really, truly feel I can help. And that's always been a huge motivator as a teacher for me.
Yeah. Well, in a way, you're still a celebrity because all these people are waiting for you when you show up to teach them, pointed out things that needs to be improved and kind of teach them their new
I'll take
roles.
it.
Um,
Yes.
so how you see yourself 15, 20 years from now in the industry?
Well, I feel like I'm going to be very integrated in a lot of different businesses.
Okay.
We at Behind the Design have a goal to create a TV show out of the work that we're doing. Speaking of HGTV,
Is that right?
yeah, and
Okay.
so that's something that we're actively working towards to kind of expand. There's so many different bar rescue, kitchen nightmares. Like there's all these big shows out there, but what about the sector of design? And what
Uh-huh.
about family businesses that are, 90% of our economy is built on family businesses, is revenue generated from family businesses. So it's such an impact to be able to do that work and be able to expand it to a larger audience. It's a huge
Mm-hmm.
driver for us. But in that, being able to have some type of education platform in the next 15, 20 years, having being involved in a lot of different boards and ways that I can give back and educate the industry.
That's really cool.
Thanks,
I,
Roger.
as I said, there's a lot of people that get into this industry that have no clue
Mm-hmm.
about business, or maybe they were in corporate America and
Mm-hmm.
they get laid off, or they already retired or whatever, and they did that time doing whatever they did, and now they join this industry without really knowing about business. So if you create a show and point things out,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to educate a lot of people. This is a great
Yeah,
initiative.
that's what I'm hoping for.
That's great, though. So, besides work, and you said you have another life besides what you do.
Yes.
What do you like? You like to travel? You like to eat? What is it?
Well, certainly all of the above. I'm very big into travel and always do at least one big trip every year to explore. But day to day, every week, I go dancing. Right now, I'm learning a little bit of rumba and the Viennese waltz. But I go back doing swing dancing for a long time and just
That's really
love that
cool.
as an outlet.
Uh-huh.
I just did some painting project for my aunt and uncle, taking back, my high school and college days of being in art and stuff. So I try to keep creative. And when I get a block, I'll try to go to a show or a comedy sketch and try to kind of break up those creative juices again.
Yeah, that is really great. So, for the longest time, I was pretty much just working and take a 6 hour nap in between and then back to work again.
Yeah.
But one of my goals was moving to Florida and kind of smell the roses a little bit.
Yeah.
So in doing that, and I love writing. So in doing that, I feel like the writing just flourished naturally
Mhm.
because you step away from all the things that kind of consuming you for the most part. And it's funny, sometimes I'm just on the weekend at the beach or even driving, and out of the blue, this idea pops up in my head just because I guess I'm refreshed and I'm
Mhm.
not in constant mode thinking about work. Is that the same thing with you? Do you feel you get creative when those breaks happen, or when you go to a show or go travel? Is it, oh, I just got an idea for my next business, Does it happen to
Exactly.
you?
Oh, totally. I mean, it's funny, especially in shows in particular. If I'm ever in New York, I have to go to a Broadway show. Like
Uh-huh.
just a calling. It just has to happen.
Yeah.
And it's maybe too much information, but I sit and I cry during the show, and it's just this release of like joy and like emotion. And by the end of the show, I'm like, I firing on all these cylinders. I've got all these thousand different ideas, and it allows your brain to decompress all of the thoughts that go on constantly. I mean, I heard something like you have something in the line of 5 to 10,000 thoughts a day or something. And
Mm.
a lot of it is just happening without your intention. And that's what I feel like after those moments. It just allows the floodgates to open, but also get clarity, not like an overwhelmingness of, I don't know what to do. It's almost like, the lights all shine on one spotlight and it's like, yes, okay, this is the idea that I needed this whole time.
Yeah, I feel like we let the guards down, and now those nice thoughts, ideas, they just can't come in because you put your
Mhm.
guards down. And
Yeah.
before you are in working mode, you pretty much have your guards high, and those things just bounce back and don't let
Yeah.
you flourish, So I saw many, CEOs. I love the business side of things. CEOs taking time off to think about and say, and I'm thinking, why do you need to take time off? You need to be in the problem to understand it. Now I realize you need to step away in order to
Yes.
see what's going on, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Well, even in teaching, they tell you that you're not supposed to teach someone for more than 2 hour segments. And even at that, it's a lot that you
Mm-hmm.
have to take brain breaks every 1.5 to 2 hours because it's just too much information. So it's the same thing working. If you're working 6 hours straight with no breaks, you're not giving any brain breaks and you're creating that wall like you're talking about.
It's funny. You just said about the teacher, and it got right back to me, even installing. I'm in the
Mhm.
middle of an install and the install doesn't work or the motor doesn't respond. You kind of spend 15, 20, 30 minutes trying to figure it out and just sweating and nothing goes. I just step out, have a drink of water, kind of deep breath. And next thing you know, you go back in and you didn't do anything. You just put oxygen in your brain, I guess.
Right.
And now you figure things out. It's incredible how a little break makes all
Hmm.
the difference. Yeah,
Yeah, you're totally
100%.
right.
Yeah. Now, again, I appreciate you sharing all this information and all your journey, everything you do, and all of that. If we go back to your 30-second elevator pitch,
Mhm.
what would you tell this person that you just met now? Would you tell the exact same thing? Would you, based on his conversation we have, do we change anything? How you explain what you do to them?
That's a good question. It was just a straight up pitch, yeah, I would probably keep it the same. But I do like, if I can, to learn the person before I tell them anything about myself,
Mm-hmm.
because that would change what I would say. I
Mm-hmm.
would focus on your ability to be in the field all the time and what your needs would be there versus someone that might be behind a computer all day.
Right, 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 right. That's great. Now, as we getting close to the end of our interview, I always asking people to leave something for the people they are listening.
Mhm.
So, what thought would you leave them with? Could be business, could be personal, could be nothing. You tell me. What do you want people to remember about this conversation?
I think it would be a little bit personal and business. My great grandmother, one of the founders of my family business, she lived to be 101. And
Wow.
in her 100th birthday, we were celebrating. There was this interview that the news did with her and her husband. And the interviewer asked her, in the years that it's been starting the business, what do you think their business success has been? What advice would they give people? And
Mm-hmm.
she said back in like 1940, it was amazing. She
Right.
said, you can either complain or change. Those are your choices and it's in your control. And when I listened to that, this is years ago, I was like, "Oh my God, you're so right, great grandma Jody. You're so right. Those are your two options. You can complain about your situation, or you can make a change about your situation." And that simple motto has stuck with me for years.
100%. I cannot agree more. That's how I joke with, what a lot of people when I get to a job site, they say, how's things, Rod? And I say, everything's fine, but even if I complain, nobody cares. So it doesn't make sense to complain because nobody really gonna stop doing what they're doing to help you out. So it's better if you just change and move forward than
Right.
just sit and complain, right?
Well, and everyone needs a pity party every now and then, but don't sit there for too long, address it and say, okay, what can we learn from this? What's the silver lining? What do we need to change to get a different outcome next time? And it is in your control, not every single thing in the world, but that choice at least is in your control.
Absolutely. Jessica, always a pleasure talking to you. I always learning something and looking forward to seeing you at IWC in
Thank you,
2
Roger.
weeks.
Likewise.
And that's a wrap for today. Hope you're leaving with something that sticks. If this episode resonated, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. For more information, follow Roger at rogermagallis.com and find the link in the show notes for a free chapter of his book, Nobody Told Me That. We'll see you next Sunday with no strings attached.